Hi, I'm Marge Robeson, registered dietitian with Pasonic Partners.
And I'm Louis Aguilar, the cook at LCCAA Head Start.
And I am Melinda Gray, the food service manager at LCCAA Head Start.
We're so glad that you could join us today for our out-of-the-box cooking series. Today we're making a cookie dough hummus as part one of our two-part series on healthy snacks. This cookie dough hummus recipe I love because it's a sweet treat and it's something on occasion I've been guilty of myself, trying some cookie dough. How about you guys?
Yes.
Oh, yes.
Yes. So I love cookie dough, but this option is a healthy snack and not going to be harmful for you from eating it. What do you guys think makes a healthy snack?
Something that doesn't have a lot of sugar or fat.
Right.
Something that has vitamins and minerals.
I think those are all great answers. When we think about snacks, snacks are an important part of our diet, and especially for children who have small stomachs, are often eating frequently throughout the day. We want snacks that are going to nourish our bodies. But unfortunately, a lot of times snacks are highly processed, have a lot of sugar in them, maybe don't have a lot of nutritional value. So we want snacks that nourish our bodies in the best way possible. As a dietitian, when I think of a healthy snack, I always think of two components are really important: protein and fiber. Why are protein and fiber important? Well, those two nutrients really help fill you up or give you that sense of satiety. So when you have snacks that include protein and fiber, they're going to satiate you or give you that feeling of fullness for a longer period of time. So our cookie dough hummus gets high marks because it has both protein and fiber in them. Louis, what kind of foods do you think have protein in them?
Foods like meat, eggs, cheese, nuts, seeds, and beans.
Great, yeah, and so this hummus is made with beans. So it's a great source, and peanut butter, I should add. So it's a great source of protein. And Melinda, what kind of things do you think have fiber in them?
Fruits, vegetables, whole grains.
Great, yeah, so those things are great. We're gonna pair our hummus with an apple that has fiber in it, so produce has fiber. The beans are a great source of fiber. So this hummus is really tasty. You're not gonna know, I know sometimes hummus can be a little polarizing. People either love it or hate it. Are you guys on the love it or hate it team?
Love it.
You love it?
Neutral.
Neutral. So we're going to see if we can win Melinda over with this hummus recipe. So we're ready to get started making our hummus. One of the helpful things with making this hummus is to have a good food processor. If you have a good food processor at home, I would highly recommend you use that. If you don't, a blender can also work well, or if you have a machine that like makes smoothies, that can work well also. You're going to be getting in your box of all the ingredients and supplies a small charging food processor. This has a small capacity, so if you have this can work too, but what I might suggest is that you do it in smaller batches as to not overwhelm the food processor. So that can work too. So we're gonna start making our hummus. Of course, every good hummus starts with beans, right? Mm-hmm. One of the key things about this recipe is you're not really gonna be able to tell this tastes like this bean based. So one thing that helps with that is rinsing the beans really well. So we've just opened our can of beans and then with a strainer, really rinse them well until the water's running clear. Sometimes when you rinse beans, they get like foamy. Mm-hmm. You want to make sure that you rinse them until the foam is all gone. So the more you rinse them, the better that will be. So we're going to add the beans to the food processor. And we're using garbanzo beans, but honestly, this can be made with any kind of bean. So if you have cannellini beans, white navy beans, that's great. Then we've already measured out our ingredients, and it next calls for 1/8 of a teaspoon salt, which is not very much. So Lewis has the salt all measured, and we'll add that.
And if I may, one thing you want to do when incorporating all your ingredients into the processor is try to evenly balance it so that when it does incorporate everything, not everything is to one side and everything gets blended very well.
Makes sense. And probably, I would guess, if you're gonna do it in the smaller chopper, maybe mix all the ingredients in a bowl first, and then in small amounts,
Small batches.
put it into your smaller food processor. Great tip there. And so next we're adding some baking soda. Now in testing this recipe and reading about this recipe, there's a little bit of mixed results on the baking soda and why it's necessary. You probably don't, I think that's looks like more than 1/8 of a teaspoon in there. So I've heard that the baking soda works for a couple of reasons. Number one, it helps to make the beans a little bit more creamy. I've also heard that it helps cut down on some of the fibers and may reduce some of the gassiness that you get with beans. And others have said cookies have baking soda in them, so you should have baking soda in it. If you don't want the baking soda in it, I've made this recipe a number of times and don't taste the baking soda, so I always leave it in. But if you don't want it in there, that's okay too. The next thing we're gonna add is peanut butter. Now, we're just using regular peanut butter. If you have peanut butter at home and wanna make it with peanut butter, that's great. In your boxes, you may be getting an allergy-friendly substitution instead of peanut butter. So you can make this with other nut butters, soy butter, sesame butter. Those can work too. And I love the peanut butter in it. It adds to the creaminess, helps boost up that protein. That's, again, helpful for a healthy snack. All right, so you have the nut butter in there. Now the recipe says up to 1/4 cup of milk of your choice. Now, I've made this recipe a couple of times. I always use for the sweetener the brown sugar, and find if I use brown sugar, I don't need to like thin it or thicken it. It's the perfect texture. So I've never find that I need that extra milk in there. But if you're maybe using, again, this chopper and it's not quite as creamy, maybe you want to add a little bit of milk or milk substitute in there. And then we're going to add our brown sugar. And I'm always looking in recipes for ways to cut down on the amount of sugar. And so this recipe calls for 1/2 cup of brown sugar. What I tend to do is when you measure brown sugar, you're typically supposed to pack it.
Yes.
I don't pack it for this recipe so that it's not quite as high in sugar, and it's been plenty sweet for me. So I might suggest that you do that if you want to cut down on the amount of sugar. You can substitute other sweeteners, maple syrup, honey, so they all work fine just to give it that sweetness. And then I think that that's it that goes in the food processor. Oh, the vanilla
extract.
We missed the vanilla extract. Yes, my bad. So add that vanilla extract in there. Again, a good cookie tastes like vanilla, so you got the vanilla extract.
This definitely helps with the flavor profile.
Yes. So you're gonna blend that all together. You want it to get to a real creamy consistency.
And what you want to do, if on your first try it doesn't start incorporating well, you want to pulse this a little bit. And it's okay to take a rubber spatula and just scrape the sides down to help with that incorporation, because you will get some of the larger pieces on the sides.
This recipe originally came from, it was like a viral recipe on social media that someone posted you know how things go on social media. Someone posts a recipe and it went viral, and people are like, I made that, I took it to a party. Nobody even knew that it was hummus. So it took off. And since, like I said, I've found it just a fun recipe and fun and nutritious. So it, again, hits all the check marks. So what cookie dough, I always think of chocolate chip cookies. So the recipe, and we're gonna be sending home in your boxes chocolate chips to make it a chocolate chip cookie dough like. And what I thought we would do here is actually divide it into 2 sections and do some with the chocolate chips. And then I know my kids, you put sprinkles in anything.
Yes.
And you could put it on broccoli and they're gonna wanna eat the broccoli more if it has sprinkles on it. So I thought we might do half of the cookie dough with the chocolate chips in it, and then the other half put some sprinkles. And it's like you have 2 different types of cookie dough to try.
And visually, the sprinkles are so fun.
Yes, right. And I
Making it
found
so
these
fun.
sprinkles that are many different colors, so we can maybe do Head Start colors with blue and red and make Head Start cookie dough hummus.
Oh, this looks so great.
Isn't
This
it funny
looks
how it
great.
smells?
Yes, and it smells delicious.
Chocolate chips in one. I'll put the sprinkles in this. I'll put some blue sprinkles, and then I'm gonna do some red sprinkles for our Head Start hummus. I like that.
Head Start sounds good. Head Start.
It might be something we have to put on the menu.
Yes.
All right, so that looks like cookie dough hummus.
Just take a couple more here.
Never
Not
hurts
going,
with it.
yeah, not going too much. But
Yeah, great. But it pairs really well, like as a dip with some apples. So we'll be sending home an apple for you to pair it with. I always think for a snack, protein, produce. So pairing this protein-rich dip with some produce like an apple or something to dip it with would be great. Again, when I talk about snacks, you've heard me say many times with kids, pairing a new food with a preferred food. So even though they might like cookie dough, or maybe they've never even seen cookie dough, if you present this as a dip with something they're familiar with, like the apples, or we're gonna send some graham crackers. We have this Scooby graham crackers. So if you pair this dip with the familiar food, they are probably more likely to gonna want to try it.
Yeah, be open to trying it.
Okay, so we are going to invite our skeptical Melinda back to try the cookie dough hummus and see if we can win her over. So our hummus is done. Who thinks it looks like cookie dough?
Looks like cookie.
It meets the visual test, okay? So now we're gonna see if it meets the taste test. I like it, honestly, on an apple. So I would do like some of the sprinkle. I'll go for sprinkle. You guys can taste it. Let me know. Now remember, Melinda was the skeptical on hummus. So she's gonna try the chocolate chip. And
Bruce, you're here for the Head Start. Actually, it does taste like cookie dough.
it does taste like cookie dough. And again, if you brought this to a party, honestly, it would be up to you. Do you want to tell somebody ahead of time, or are you going to let people eat it and then spring it on to them that it's same thing with your children? Do you just put it there? I always think you don't really want to trick kids, or sometimes that leads to, them thinking that you're sneaking things in on them. So I might just say it's cookie dough hummus. And then not surprise them later and say, I made you eat beans. That's not a good way to present foods to kids. But your adult relatives, maybe you want to do that and tell them that it was a bean dip. So again, this is a great new snack. Healthy, the protein, the fiber are going to satiate you. A great way to pair a new food with a more preferred food for kids. And we hope you enjoy it. I think we won Melinda over. Okay. And we hope that you'll join us for part 2 of our out of the box cooking series, where our next healthy snack is going to be an oat breakfast, what's called a breakfast bar, but really could be for a snack too. So join us for that. Remember, we love getting pictures of your family making the recipe. This is a simple recipe, so kids could definitely participate with that. I think they'd love to see things changing in the food processor and help make it. So send us pictures of you making the recipe and enjoy the cookie dough hummus. Thank you.
Thank you.